going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Friday, people. Hope you are well. I'm calling it Arsenal therapy, people. I'm telling you, man, I have to. We did the vibe along last night, thinking, you know, we've had a tough week, losing to PSG. Let's watch Man United probably struggle. And instead, all we watched is more chaos and more carnage. And listen, it was absolutely crazy. So I'm here with Arsenal therapy because we could potentially be in a situation where Chelsea win the Conference League, Tottenham or Man United win the Europa League, Liverpool win the Prem, and Man City win the FA Cup, and Newcastle win the Carabao Cup, and we're sitting here cleaning up win the dogs dog poo from the training ground, people. But trust the process, people. Of course things can go the other way. Maybe we win the Champions League, maybe he's the hero, maybe it's the best season of all time. But the way things are right now, we are going to need an Enrique Iglesias level of hero performance this week to get past PSG. But don't worry, guys. Arsenal versus Bournemouth tomorrow. A game that, to be honest, I don't even want to watch. Because why would we want to watch it, to be honest? But we will be there. We'll stay professional. 5:30 kickoff. I'll be there. I'll be there 4:30. It's one of them things, isn't it? You know, when the garden needs cutting, or when the dishes have mounted up, and you're like me and you don't have a dishwasher, so you've just got to do it. So we will be there. But to be honest, I don't even want to watch that game tomorrow, especially when the weather's nice. Why so negative? It's only phase 37. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. 2044 will be our year, people. One love, massive. Big up yourself. DJ Ash, we got the toughest. We got the toughest to get a trophy without a striker like prime Alexis Sanchez. Sometimes I have to just throw these green screens up just to remember what individual brilliance look like at Arsenal. We need an XL bully, not a family Labrador. Yeah, man, you know, just we need some dogs in this team, man. Some DMX music, but we're listening to Adele and crying. Listen, lots to talk about today. Big up everyone who was in the stream I just did with Dan Potts. Shout out Potsy, enjoyable show as always. Yeah, he'll be back on this channel later on next week, people. Couple of things put in the stream for 24 hours. I don't know why YouTube's been doing that. That's happened like 3 times. Did that happen again today? Did you rewatch the PSG game? I did. Because it was such an important game, and I thought, like I said, sometimes you miss things in a watch along. Speaking to the community and reading the comments, I watched it back, and yeah, I think that first game earlier in the season when we beat PSG, I think that acted perfectly for Luis Enrique to beat us this time, because we turned up and tried to play the same way, and he knew what to do. He knew what to do, and we didn't adapt. That's what frustrated me so much. He's done something wrong, change, you know? I'm arguing with people, Curtis, under your post saying we should be happy we aren't finishing 8th no more. We've progressed genuinely. I'm tired. I wasn't supposed to love football this much. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. You know, Twitter is a cesspit, right, of toxicity, people. But I like it just to, you know, banter. And I don't take things to heart. You should see some of the replies that I get, people. It's wild. But it is what it is. Didn't adapt because Arteta can't adapt, yeah? Probably that. Probably that. Listen, we got a few things to talk about. Let's talk about some of these Europa League games last night. I want to put out a public service announcement. You know, like on the beginning of the Jay-Z record. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I want to make a public service announcement, because I know people from Arsenal watch this channel. They told me on tour. So if any of you are watching, I know you're tuned in. You relay one message to people at this football club. Do not buy I Show Speed with dreadlocks. I repeat, do not buy I show speed with dreadlocks. Keep Nico Williams as far away from the Emirates Stadium as you possibly can, because I don't want this scrub anywhere near this football club next season. $400 a week. Are you mad? Are you crazy? I nearly walked out the room yesterday watching this guy play football, and he ain't even an Arsenal player yet. I don't want him anywhere near this football club. Nowhere near. 51 million for what? For a 100-meter sprinter. Keep him far away. Far away as well. Trust me, people. This guy doesn't solve any problems. Trust me, that speed. Ow, ow! Man might as well be barking. This guy got 1v1 with Harry Maguire, couldn't get past. Nah, are you mad? I've got Alexis Sanchez in the background. I've waited years for an elite left winger, and you think this guy answers that question? Lock that off. Find alternative solutions, people. I don't want this guy anywhere near the club. I've seen enough. 4th game of the season, I've watched him. That was his worst. He stunk out the joint yesterday. Stunk out the joint. You go and pay the money for Rodrigo from Real Madrid. You get Ademola Lookman who can dribble. I like Leao more than Nico Williams. You do not bring this I show speed Donny to Arsenal Football Club. Awful footballer. Nothing but a sprinter. And I ain't talking about the Central C and Dave tune. You know what I mean? This guy, are you mad? I've seen a lot of reports, Rodrigo, 100 million. We're actually going to talk about that. That's the alternative. You don't go for this guy. Keep him there. You want 400 grand? See if you can get it there, or go Saudi or something. Go Saudi. He ain't the answer. Get him off the screen. Get out my face. Just get out my sight. You know them ones. Nico, what? Nico Williams, your ass. Keep him at Bilbao, yes? Don't want that guy anywhere near the football club. Man can't even take on Maguire. Maguire put in a better winger performance than Nico Williams. Man twisted up that left back and crossed it in and got a pre-assist. Nah, man, keep I show speed at Bilbao, man. He's their problem. Keep him far away from this club. That guy is not good. Anyway, we're going to progress. We're going to progress, people. We'll get the pain out of the way. And we'll talk about last night's Europa League. I mean, honestly, it's like, I've said it time and time again, that I'm convinced, I joke about it, but I'm convinced Arsenal fans are part of a social experiment. I'm convinced that we are. Like, we spent, what, 4 or 5 years in the Europa League. And a lot of the time we came up against really good teams. Sometimes, obviously, Olympiacos, Villarreal, not as good, but they still knocked us out. But, you know, Madrid with a prime Griezmann and Diego Costa, Chelsea in the final when Hazard was on fire. This is genuinely one of the weakest Europa Leagues I've seen in years. And you're like, why couldn't we have a Europa League that looked like that? Bodo Glimt in a semi-final, people. I mean, what the hell is that? Like, and then now, the season just took a turn. I'll be honest, people. I started this week with hope, with optimism, with dreams. Finally, Arsenal were going to take us to the promised land that we've been waiting for. We were going down the yellow brick road in terms of Wizard of Oz, people. I'm off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Because. Like, I was skipping down the road, people. Not literally, but psychologically. We're going to win the Champions League. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, we're not going to win the Champions League. Because it's Arsenal. And what they do is they line you up and then they drop you when everything looks like it's going right, people. And that's what it seems to be happening now. But listen, we've still got that little bit of hope. But that's how it feels. From skipping to limping, no, you're not wrong, you know. You're not wrong. I was skipping, now I'm limping down the road. But anyway, we are going to have to watch the most disgusting, vile, stinky Europa League final you have ever seen in the history of football. I mean, What do you call that watch along? I can't vibe to that. There's no vibes. It gets bad, don't it, when your season could end up being which team you dislike the least and you want them to win so the other one don't win. Do you know the disgusting thing about this final? What's so disgusting about this final? And it hasn't happened, but it's going to happen. What's so bad about this final for Arsenal, right? 14th against 16th. They've got less points than Liverpool between them. They haven't got 80 points between them. Liverpool have got, what, 82 points? If Tottenham win the Europa League, they are going to dump all over our football club. Luckily, the only thing is, I don't know that many Tottenham fans, but the ones that I do know, it will be horrendous. It will be horrendous. First trophy since 2008. Big Ange. So that's an absolute nightmare. If United win it, what it does, it springboards them 2 or 3 years. At the moment, United are nowhere to be seen. They're miles off it. That will accelerate their process by 2 or 3 years, because not only does it win you a trophy, win you a Europa League, not only does it give you Champions League qualification, which brings you a whole heap of money as well, which means you're able to attract better players in the summer. Man United being linked with Liam Delap. They win that Europa League, that suddenly becomes, could it become Gyokeres? Could it become Osimhen? They're in a different... And then on top of that, you get a Super Cup final against the Champions League winners. And it changes everything at their football club. So whoever wins, it's awful. And if this doesn't wake Arsenal fans up to what is going on, then I don't know what will. I don't know what will. I mean... a lot of people saying they want United to win. But I saw a thing that Tottenham have beat United the last 3 times they've played against them. That game is a disgrace. That a team that potentially finishes 16th could have a better season than Arsenal. Because that's what it is, in my opinion. If you said to me as a player, you can finish 14th and win the Europa League, or you can finish 2nd and win nothing. For that just individual season, I want the Europa League. I want to get to a final and win it and lift silverware, and then play a Super Cup. And a lot of people don't get along with that. Go, yeah, but as a season collectively, they've lost loads of games. But you only remember the success that you have. I guarantee, and I say this all the time, all you guys in the comments, I bet loads of you have played football at some level, school, college, university, professional, amateur, whatever. The biggest memories of your career will be the things that you've won. Whatever that is, whatever that looks like, the cup finals, the league titles, anything. You remember what you've won. The year you finish 3rd, 4th, whatever, you don't look back and go, oh my God, 2020 when I finished 4th. Who cares, mate? Who gives a damn about that? And that's the sad thing about football. That's the sad thing about football. Because Arteta, despite all the progression, the facts will remain that we're not succeeding. We can't. The hardest thing is to get over the finish line. Arteta's took Arsenal from 8th to 2nd, but 2nd to 1st is the most difficult jump in football. It's the most difficult. That's why only a few managers have won trophies. Only a few of them. Top trophies. They don't win. Most of them don't win trophies because that's the hardest jump to make. And Arteta seems to have hit the ceiling with that jump. Fitz saw it coming. He was right. He got out early. 2nd is just first loser. It's true. It's true. Cashley Cole said, but the Don said that it doesn't matter that they win Europa. Arsenal still had the better season. Not for me. Football is opinion, so I'm never going to disrespect someone's opinion, but I disagree. It's about trophies. David, big up, bro. New member. Hope you're well. Forever gonna leave Arsenal aside, bro. What is your FPL team? My FPL team is stinking. I don't think I've made subs for about 4 weeks, so I'm probably in a relegation battle. I will check that next stream. Justin said at this point, I'd take being back in the Europa League just to win something. You see that there? Joba, when will Top Gooners be tired of being losers? It's a mentality issue, I'm afraid, people. It's a mentality issue because, as I said yesterday during that watch along, Man United lean on their heritage to win trophies. Even when they're bad, they get near a final, they lean on that heritage, it drags them over the line. It's like we've forgotten that we are a big club that used to win major trophies. We should be leaning on that. I think when we left Highbury to the Emirates and changed the badge, we changed the mentality of the football club and we watered down that ambition. Wenger had a very good way of watering down Arsenal fans' ambition. Top four is a trophy. We have to sell to buy. We have to sell to compete. Getting Champions League football is the aim. And all of a sudden we went, well, we can't win the league. We turned into victims. Arsenal turned into victims in the latter time of Arsene Wenger. We can't compete with Chelsea's money. We can't compete with Manchester City's money. We can't compete with Man United's spending power. We're selling our best players. We're still getting top four. Arsene Wenger brainwashed us into believing that that was reality of Arsenal, that we can't win the title, that we can't win the Champions League, we can't sign the best players. But the stadium's done. We've got the stadium. Realistically, has this stadium actually benefited Arsenal that much? Apart from the fact you can get 20 odd thousand extra fans in the stadium, what has been the major benefit of the Emirates? It's an easier ground to play at as an away fan, as an away player. We make it very comfortable for away fans, something that I've said for a long time you shouldn't do. If I set up a football club, I would not give away fans the lower section to the side of the goal. You've got a good view, and they're going to make that side of the goal like a home end every time they attack. I'm putting you right in the top corner. You're far from the pitch, and your noise and influence is going to be minimalized. But we go here, have the north bank, have the clock end lower, and sit right next to the goal. Comfortable, you've got a great view. If the away team scores, they can run right there and celebrate with the away fans. Make it feel great. You go Newcastle, you're in the sky. They put you at the very top in the corner. You have no impact on that game as a fan. So for me, Arsenal they've gone away from what they were representing. We're about winning. We're about success. We want the best players. We want to compete every year and also play a quality style of football. Now, as long as we're in the mix, we're happy to be there. We're happy to be there. So we will see. Rizwan said, avoid business with Madrid this summer unless Saliba signs an extension before the summer window. Real staring at our players like, well... And the problem is, innit, Madrid probably think, okay, we'll do you a favour. We'll give you a cut price Rodrigo deal, but you give us a cut price Saliba deal. Europa League is easier this year because the Champions League teams doesn't drop out. Yeah, like I said, we were a bit unlucky in that sense. But what can we do? We should have won it. We had opportunities to win it. Jan said, I'd rather Spuds win it than Man United. There's maybe 5 Spuds fans around a 50-kilometre radius. I couldn't bear Man United getting the shortcut by winning the Europa. Cashley said, someone needs to check Jova's ego, acting a fool in front of the camera. His set pieces didn't do anything against PSG. I mean, you knew it was bad. Arteta told him to sit down and shut up. So even he'd had enough. He was like, listen, you clown, sit down. Stop moving your... Man was directing traffic. We gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. Yo, sit down, bro. He's gonna cross the ball in. Someone's gonna try and head it in. You don't need to be doing all that. And it didn't work anyway. Guy's an idiot, man. Nicholas Jova's just annoying now. Interesting that Jan wants Tottenham to win it ahead of Man U. Somebody else messaged me that last night, you know. It was interesting, and he's a big Arsenal fan. He said, he would rather Tottenham won it. And I said, why? And he goes, because if Tottenham win it, it won't make any difference to them as a club. He said, if Man U win it, they'll come back to competing. But it's a tough one. Neither one of them is good, to be honest. Jova has an ego because the fan base overhyped him. And don't forget, they painted him outside the stadium. So you've made this guy's ego go through the roof when he hasn't even done anything, apart from tell Declan Rice to whip a corner in, you know? He thinks he's a genius all of a sudden. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's listen, I want to make it clear, and I've said this a few times this week, right? Arsenal have a chance. They have a chance going to Paris. It's a slim chance, but they do have a chance. PSG are a good team, very good team, what they did to us the other day. However, I think that PSG were playing, I thought that was a top quality PSG performance, and I don't think Arsenal played that well. So you've got to hope that that balances itself out, that maybe PSG drop off a little bit, and that maybe Arsenal improve a little bit. Now, it's if, buts, and maybes, and that doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. But have we seen the best of PSG, or can they go up another level? You know, that's the worrying thing. If they can go up another level, then it becomes even more difficult. And that stadium, that atmosphere. You got to remember, PSG have never won the Champions League. They're going to be nervous as well. They've been involved in crazy comebacks before, you know, when Barca came back and stuff like that. So, listen, we'll see. Fabrizio Romano put out a tweet about Ousmane Dembele. Ousmane Dembele has been diagnosed with a hamstring injury as a muscle strain in his right thigh. PSG confirms. His situation is evolving, progressing favourably per the club's official report. Is he going to be available? He's the man in form for them. 30 goals, over 30 goals this season. He's actually put up Ballon d'Or potential winning numbers. If they win the Champions League, I wouldn't be surprised if Dembele wins the Ballon d'Or. Stuart the other night, Parisian Londoner, said that in France, he's very much seen as a bigger natural talent than Mbappe. In terms of what he can do, left foot, right foot, dribbling, pace, skill, so good technically. I don't trust this because I heard Luis Enrique's interview after the game and he seemed to be indicating that it was a minor injury. However, if it is a strain, usually takes at least a week. But when you think about it, we played on Tuesday, we play them next Wednesday, we'll have had 8 days to recover. Some minor strains you can recover in 7 days. I hope he's not playing. I don't wish injury on any player, but I would rather Dembele wasn't playing, of course, from an Arsenal point of view. If he doesn't play, does it give us, I wouldn't even say an advantage, but just a slight little bit more hope that their main striker is out? So I remember Enrique did used to stream on Twitch, didn't he? I don't know if he still does. I'll be totally honest with you. But yeah, quality manager, that's for sure. Spar said, I'll be honest, I did not overhype the Madrid win. I'm realistic and know a more well-balanced team beats Arsenal any day, says Sparsh. I think not only because we beat Real Madrid, I think it was we'd already beaten PSG, even though this is a much better PSG because Dembele never played and Kvara wasn't there. And we'd battered Man City, we'd done well against Liverpool with players missing. But listen, on one hand, it was hard not to get carried away by beating Real Madrid 5-1 because of the quality they've got individually. But when you look back on that victory, Madrid was set up for us to beat them. We played against a team that doesn't run a lot compared to us. We ran over 7 kilometers more than them. They've got a front three that doesn't help defensively too much. So you isolate their fullbacks, which is what Martinelli and Saka are desperate for. And then on top of that, both of their fullbacks, Carvajal and Mendy, are out injured. So you're playing a centre mid in Valverde and a centre back in Alaba, who most Real Madrid fans, they want him gone in the summer. So everything that we kind of needed, it was there. They had no defensive midfielder in the first game because Tchouaméni was out, and we just completely exploited them. That's not taking anything away from Arsenal. It was a fantastic performance, but there was a lot of things that fell into place for Arsenal. And you've also got to look at it. We scored 2 set pieces. That doesn't. When's the next? Tell me the last time you saw somebody score 2 free kicks in a game. You know, it doesn't happen often. So the stars. It felt like the stars aligned for our games against Real Madrid. They didn't align for PSG. We had no Partey. Obviously, Gabriel missed Real Madrid and this game, and they were just at it. Their style. If you look at what PSG struggled with against Aston Villa in that second leg, Villa got amongst them. They made midfielders get close to them. John McGinn was winning the ball back. Tielemans with his passing. Morgan Rogers with his energy. And then you had Rashford driving runs direct. That is what made them uncomfortable. And Arsenal were not energetic enough and not aggressive enough in midweek. We stood off them. Because Rice wasn't in midfield, Marino had no speed. Odegaard's got no aggression. We couldn't make life uncomfortable for them. We allowed them to just play. And then we didn't get at them enough up front because Saka was doubled up on and Martinelli just didn't really do much. So we got to hope that that changes everything in Paris. Jorge said, am I crazy to think Rodrigo helps us more than Saliba at the moment? I feel we could get a good centre-back that can do a job. Rodrigo helps us more up front. Like Jorge, I mean, I wouldn't like to get into that debate simply because I still think Saliba's a top, like a superstar centre-back. And Arsenal have done this too much over the years. They've sold a top player to buy a top player and we don't get any better. The guy on the green screen today, Alexis Sanchez, we sold him to buy Aubameyang. Aubameyang was elite, but so was Alexis. We needed Alexis to be in the team with Aubameyang in the team. So selling Saliba to buy Rodrigo, you've then got a problem in defence. Who knows how Gabriel recovers from a torn hamstring? All of a sudden, you've got to rebuild your back four. Arsenal needs Saliba long-term at the club. Do you think Odegaard should be dropped, basically playing with 10 men? When I say 100, bro, I mean absolutely 100% Odegaard should be dropped. The only reason he will play on Wednesday is because this manager loves him and people will pick him on his experience, but I'm not interested in that. The guy didn't do anything for us the other day. He didn't do anything for us. Yeah, listen, Sanchez was straight swap for Mkhitaryan, but I mean in the sense of losing Sanchez as a top quality player, we bought Aubameyang, you know, and Mkhitaryan was a disaster for us. Akinyemi said, if we go out Tuesday, well, Wednesday actually we play, but yeah, I get your point. Without a fight and Newcastle by some miracle go second in the league, he should be sacked. I mean, yeah, even if they don't go second for me, but yeah, I hear the argument. It would make it even worse. Brendan O'Connor, big up for the super sticker, bro. Much appreciated. Big up everyone locked in, man. 2,000 of you locked in. Andre said, Curtis, the problem is after watching Barca v Inter on Wednesday, even if we make it through, we will get battered. The quality those teams have is unmatched. Thoughts? In terms of a game of pure entertainment, it was an absolute elite level game, right? But you've still got to look at it. Inter Milan meant to be one of the best defensive teams in Europe. They concede 3 goals. Barca at the bar. They missed chances. They could have scored 5, really. And then you've got Barcelona, who looked very, very uncomfortable from set pieces. Very uncomfortable. Conceded 3. Inter had a couple more chances. So whilst I agree with you that Barca's attack in particular, especially if you put Lewandowski back in, it's elite. What you saw in that game was 2 quite poor defensive performances, you know? So I'm not completely in that mindset that we would just get battered. In a final, you know, anything can happen. It would be wide open. And we can defend. You know, I remember when Chelsea played Bayern Munich in Munich, nobody thought they would win that game. And they grind out a win. So I think we'd have a chance. I think we'd have a chance if we got to the final. Robbie on AFTV, what has Odegaard done wrong? Big up Rob, man. Big up Rob. What has he done right should be the question. That should be the question. Bottle Jobs TV, we became elite bottle jobs under Lego Head. It's harsh, but there's an element of truth in there. Well, a lot of truth, maybe. Anyway, let's move on. Who are we moving on to? I've got a few transfer stories here. Let's start with this one. Zubimendi, people. Interesting picture, this. Mikel Merino, Zubimendi, and Martin Odegaard. So basically, we are being turned into Real Sociedad. We're being turned into Sociedad, people. Imagine looking at, I mean, no disrespect, right, to Real Sociedad, but I don't mind if you went and took Real Madrid's midfield and they were amazing. But imagine going, listen, mate, you know that Sociedad midfield that's like 10th in the league at the moment? I want all three of them. Real Sociedad are 10th in the league at the moment. Now, I know they obviously weren't 10th when these guys were there, but why do we do these things? Like, why did we keep buying Chelsea leftovers? Now we've got to keep buying Real Sociedad players all of a sudden because Arteta knows their sporting director. Anyway, let's be honest, man. At this moment in time, the way Odegaard's playing and Merino in midfield, you would argue that those first two have not actually worked out that great so far. I mean, Marino's done all right up front, but he won't be up front next season when we get a striker. And Odegaard's stinking out the joint at the moment. So turning us into the English Real Sociedad doesn't exactly hype me up that much. You know what I mean? I just don't know if that was the club you should have targeted. Kike Marin said, Real Sociedad, they're considering that Zubimendi to Arsenal will definitely happen this summer. I think it was the manager. No, sorry, the sporting director of Real Sociedad was saying he expects Zubimendi to leave this summer and just wants him to help them potentially make Europe. They've still got a chance of Conference League and Europa League, even though they're 10th. We know there's a release clause. I think it's about 53 million. The expectation is that Arsenal will sign him. Listen, I've said many times on this channel, looks very good technically. But again, my concern is you're now looking at a player that, if you watch Nico Williams for Spain in the summer, you would say, wow, what a player, go and get him. You watch him for Bilbao in much tighter games with less space, he looks bang average. Zubimendi looked great for Spain in the Euros. But again, when he played against Man United, he was absolutely bullied by Casemiro. So I have concerns that he's lightweight. He's pretty similar height to Martin Odegaard. He's not that big physically, very good technically. And it feels like a mobile Jorginho. And to be honest, my question to everybody, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an expert on him. I reckon there's guys in the chat that will have watched him more than me. So you can let me know. He doesn't feel like an upgrade on Thomas Partey. So spending 50 odd million on him and then you're probably going to bench Partey, I don't know how that improves us, to be honest. I'll give him time. I haven't seen him kick a ball for Arsenal. So if we do sign him, I mean, Jay Dime said he's quite strong for his little self. Fair enough. Chris said get Reinders, who's having a great season. You could argue that if you keep Partey and you've got Rice, you don't really need the 6. You need the number 8. You need the creative player or somebody that can get forward and score goals would be a bigger priority in my opinion. But we'll see. We know he's wanted Zubimendi for years, so it's one of his main targets. Arteta bought everyone in Sociedad except Isak. Yeah, the one we could have really done with. Akinyemi said, Odegaard has basically turned into Gunnosaurus. The amount of time he spends waving his arms at the crowd without producing anything. Bro, Donny turned into a cheerleader the other night. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. Bruno Gyokeres is the dream. I would absolutely love that guy at Arsenal, but I think we got no chance. He seems to love Newcastle, man. He really does. You can see how passionate he is. And look, Newcastle have won a trophy, and I think they're going to make Champions League football. You think he's replacing Jorginho? I think when Arteta spends 50 odd million on a player, particularly a Spanish player, who he's probably got some sort of friendship with or knows him. Obviously, he's from that part of Spain, the Basque region. I don't think he's getting that Jorginho level of treatment in terms of just sitting on the bench and being a squad player. I think he'll get a lot of football if he signs. I'll try and get Camavinga or Tchouaméni. I mean, look, there's rumours that Madrid have to sell maybe this summer to balance the books, but would they sell any of those two? I'm not sure. They're the key players. I'd love either one of them. Particularly Camavinga is the one I would rather take. But anyway, big up to everyone locked in. 2,000 of you tuned in. Really appreciate your support. AMSN, I would rather sign all the Newcastle midfield than all Sociedad's. Get me Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, and Joel Linton. Also get me Eddie Howe and sack the cone man. I mean, listen, I wouldn't want Eddie Howe, but people think Arteta has created a miracle of a rescue mission, taking an Arsenal that were 8th place at the time, who weren't that far off top 4, by the way, when he took over, and getting us to 2nd. This guy took Newcastle from a relegation battle and got them in the Champions League and slapped up PSG 4-0 at St. James's and won the Carabao Cup. And he's probably going to get Champions League football again. That's what you call a miracle. Relegation battle to Champions League and winning a trophy. That's a miracle. And they haven't even spent that much compared to a lot of the teams around them, to be honest. You know, they're running around with Murphy, Jacob Murphy playing right wing. Do you know what I mean? And Dan Burn and players like that. So it shows it can be done. Cello said, give us Zidane. He would be on my list. He would be on my list. There's managers out there. He would definitely be on the list. Right, what we got next, people? What we got next? Bit more transfer news. This story came out yesterday. Not sure how true this is or not. Again, only seen this guy play a couple times. Looks a silky player. Some of you guys might know more about him than me. Maybe we've got a Leicester fan in the chat. Arsenal have started talks with Leicester City for Bilal El Khanous and have offered 30 million euros for the Moroccan midfielder. Now, again, I said this the other day on this channel, right? I said, if this guy goes for a midfielder, an attacking midfielder, I bet you he goes for a young player that doesn't mind sitting on the bench while Odegaard starts, which is why he wanted Naipan, right? He wanted a young player who will come to Arsenal and he'll get benched for Odegaard, but he'll be happy to be at the club. This is the reason he doesn't want Cunha, he doesn't want Eze, he doesn't want Florian Wirtz, he doesn't want anyone like that, because all those guys are going to demand first-team football. Now, I've watched Leicester, I'm not lying, this season, probably the 2 Arsenal games and maybe 2 other times this season. I've seen a little bit of him. He's a silky player, attacking midfielder. He's only 20, but I don't know enough about him. 2 goals, 2 assists. Look, Leicester are a mess. His stats were never going to look good. Again, some of you guys might know more about him than me. Apparently, he was born in Belgium, but he's a Moroccan international. Grew up at Genk over there in Belgium, and obviously he's at Leicester. He's only been at Leicester a year and a half. But yeah, I don't know enough about him. I don't know enough about him. Anyone in the chat feel they know enough? I mean, I think he's a silky player. I can tell he's got good footwork when I've watched him. But 30 million euros, you're looking at about 25 million quid. This is the level of player that I think Arteta would go for in that attacking midfield role. And I'm not being funny. In whatever phase we're in, is this the level of player we should be going for? He's a baller, you lot will love him. Fair enough. Listen, I don't mind these kind of signings, you know. Like a 20-year-old with a lot of potential who's silky and you build him up. But we might actually need a first-team attacking midfielder right now, the way that Odegaard's playing. So this level of signing isn't enough. This is the signing you make when Odegaard's cooking. And you sign the young player who can replace him when he's not in form. But when Odegaard's playing this bad, you don't sign somebody like this. You go and sign Cunha. You go and sign Eze. You know, that, or Florian Wirtz or Baena. So for me, I'm not convinced. TV1 said, Curtis, for context, I was in college when we last won the title. I'm now pushing 40, married and have a 6-year-old daughter. Spent over half my life praying for my club to act seriously. Bro, it's genuinely generations. Any Arsenal fan in the chat that is old enough that you experienced the Invincibles and all of that generation, we are now in totally different generations. You're talking 21 years. Like like there's people in the chat that might have been kids when we won that, and they've now got kids. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, people talk about the Thierry Henry aura, right? You hear people all the time, don't you? Players, top players go, you know, oh, Thierry Henry, one of my favorite players, or blah, blah, blah. And you think, all these players that loved Henry, that loved Bergkamp, that loved Pires, loved Vieira, that all would have probably been desperate to play for Arsenal because of the legacy that we'd created. These guys now are looking at Arsenal like, you know, if you're 21 years old now and you're growing up as a player, you're looking at Arsenal like, I can't really remember Arsenal doing anything, because 10 years ago, they had Giroud up front or Lucas Podolski on the left wing, and they were finishing fourth and they weren't winning anything. You don't even know that Thierry Henry generation and that level of success. That aura, that whole thing is disappearing. I say it all the time, people. I'm kind of History Channel FC right now. I'm having arguments with people about the current Arsenal team. I'm going, shut up, you never had Thierry Henry. And they're going, bro, that was 21 years ago. Let it go. Let it go. Like, that ain't, we're not even in that generation. That's where I'm at. That's my ammunition. They're like, yo, Arsenal rubbish, man. You lot are a laughing stock. Shut your mouth, bro. You seen Dennis Bergkamp's first touch? They're like, yo, you do know Dennis Bergkamp left your club like 2 decades ago. I'm like, yeah, but what would you expect me to say? That's all I've got. That's all that's left. We're running out. We're running out of petrol, people, in that sense. You know what I mean? That generation, all that history, all that success. You know what I mean? All of this, Thierry and Dennis, and you know what I mean? Look at that. Look at that. Look at them three. Look at them 3 dons there. That's probably about 500 million. Look at that. Ponytail, French dons holding 1 trophy each. Double, you know. Tell you what, you hold the FA Cup, I'll hold the Premier League. Oh yeah, I'll hold the gold Prem. That's never been seen since. Probably just scored another great goal at Highbury. The guy that replaced Ian Wright, and just one of the best strikers I've seen. Mr. Vavavoom himself, you know what I mean? You know Aubameyang would be there somewhere, right? Knee slide FC. Now we're doing... Look at that. You're going from that to, like, you know, these legacy players here. Look, even Will Todd. You're going from that to... Yeah, I'll call you. I'll call you. Yeah, you got no credit, mate. You can't call me. And this. That's where we're going. And that. Don't even want to celebrate. I don't even want to think about this. Look at them 3. Look at this, yeah. This is the biggest one. We've gone from these 3, right? If ever 2 pictures summed up 20 years of Arsenal Football Club, clip this up right here, right? Clip this up right here, right now, yeah? 20 years of Arsenal, right? Look at this, look at this. 20 years of Arsenal in a nutshell, right? This is what's happened to Arsenal in 20 years. Look at these 3 on the background. We went from this to this. Look at the state of that. Kivior, Havertz and Odegaard. From Bergkamp, Henry and Patrick Vieira. I would give up 15 Arsenal first team players, the training ground, Win the Dog, half of the merch inside the armoury, the set piece coach, the paintings outside, the bent tifo that looks like a bedsheet, the manager, Cone Man, all of it to get one of these players, just one of them. Never mind all three of them. And then even this guy. Anyway. I went off on one there. I don't know how that happened, but anything can happen on this channel at any given moment. Honestly. Oh, dear. Anyway. Happy Friday, people. Happy Friday. Cheers. Man said I need my eyes sanitized. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Trust the process. That's what they tell me. They tell me to trust the process. Andrew said, big up Curtis, I can go back even further. Yeah, you can even go back to the George Graham team and all that and the players we had. Information and entertainment, man, at any given moment, you know. Given our bench, El Canus is a type of signing. If it was like our fourth, fifth signing in the summer after a striker, wing and midfielder, it will be good. He has good potential. But we need starting play. I don't mind them kind of signings, but like you said, you've got to get the main work done first, and then you can throw a couple young squad players in there that cost 20 odd million. That's no problem. I haven't seen enough of him to really say yes or no. What I have seen of him, you can see he's technically gifted, silky player. If you've signed Gyokeres and Zubimendi and you've signed, I don't know, Rodrigo as your winger, and then you get El Canus, you don't mind that kind of signing. SG said, never seen a club like Arsenal getting away with it. Ticket prices increase. No sound from the fan base. When you criticise the club, you are the problem. Exactly. Spot on, bro. Spot on. Forever a gunner. When Odegaard came in after the injury, provided 2 assists in 2 games against Chelsea and West Ham. Probably something happened in the international break after the baby. I mean, what has possibly... I suppose the only excuse they could come out with that, and I wouldn't even let him off the hook, but the only thing that could get him away, you could say he needs an operation on his ankle. There was a big account that says Odegaard's having an operation in the summer and he's playing through the pain barrier. But if that's the case, then my question is, why would Arsenal do that? He's playing so bad, you would say, you know what, bro, just go and get the operation. And sort yourself out. So until that's confirmed, I'm not even giving him that excuse. I'm forever going to do a stream on the best and worst team of all time. Maybe something we'll do international break. Well, in fact, international break. Season's nearly done. The season's nearly done. King Alex said footballers left him. That's crazy. I can see it in his eyes. Exactly, and that's another great point. Why didn't they get a replacement in? And like you said, man, the guy ain't even doing the basics. Big up my bro, Hakeem. Does that stop you from making 14 misplaced passes? Exactly. Even if your ankle's hurting, you should see the stuff we have to do at the lower levels when we played lower levels. You know what I mean? There was players taking pain-killing injections, ibuprofen, spraying up your ankle. You can't even feel it, strapping all over it. Nah, man, I ain't letting him off with that. I ain't letting him off with that. He looks mager. I'm telling you. He's moving like he gave birth and been breastfeeding. Man's losing weight. He's got, what's it called? Postnatal depression. I'm telling you, something ain't right. Man's moving like he gave birth. Man's got postnatal depression. Post-Norway depression. International break. I don't know what's going on. It's madness. We're making crazy excuses for players nowadays. Oh, but he had a baby. Yeah, he didn't. His wife did. Maybe she should play. Brian said, Big C, you're not happy with progress. What is there to be upset about? Arteta forever. Moving like Wakanda, you know. Get him out, bro. Get him out. Alvin, is Arsenal's women's team are better than the men's? Looks like it, bro. They're in the Champions League final. We're probably not. You know what I mean? Postpartum. It's mad, bro. It's mad. People say, oh, no, I don't even want to joke about that. Man saying he ain't the dad. It's mad. It's all mad. You lot are going wild. Oh, man. Post-nasal depression, you know. Nah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Gyokeres. 4 goals at the weekend against Boa Vista. Like I said, the interesting angle is does Man United winning the Europa League give them a chance of getting him? There's been a lot of reports that Amorim would like to sign him, be reunited with him. Obviously, worked with him for 2 seasons at Sporting Lisbon. Took his career to the next level, really, after getting him from Coventry. We know that Arsenal want him. But would he think if they win the Europa League, they're in the Champions League, they got the Super Cup final, it's the manager that he's worked with? At the moment, I'm very concerned about Arsenal. And listen, we're in a situation where things can go really well if we beat PSG on Wednesday and go through. But we're also in a situation where things could go really wrong. And we're sitting here going, this season's been an absolute disaster. As I said, Chelsea 4-1, was it last night? They're going to get to the Conference League final, which by itself, nobody cares about the Conference League. However, it's still a trophy. And Chelsea will still turn around and say they've completed Europe. That would be Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League, which we haven't won any of those competitions. And that's the reality of the situation. So they won 4-1. They'll win at home. Then you're looking at Man United Tottenham Europa League final. So one of them's going to win a European competition. Then they get to play in the Champions League. Then they get the Super Cup final in the summer. So that transforms them, if one of them wins that, which they're going to. And then also, you've got the fact that Liverpool have won the Prem, Newcastle the Carabao Cup, City might win the FA Cup. And if City lose the FA Cup, that's Crystal Palace with Eddie Nketiah winning it. So whichever way you look, it doesn't look great, does it? Now, listen. Let's just put it, and the Club World Cup as well, which we're not involved in. If we'd beat Bayern Munich last year, we'd have been in the Club World Cup, which isn't a major competition, really, but, it would have given a bit more of a sort of high profile to Arsenal to be involved in that. And apparently you get a lot of money for featuring in that. I think they've thrown the bag at the teams to feature in it. So, of course, that would help. Listen, if I see Eddie Nketiah lifting an FA Cup, I'll be going into hiding. Real talk. If that guy wins the FA Cup, I'm telling you now. Gyokeres should avoid Man United like the plague. Well, hopefully he does. Brio said, all our attacking players are squad players until they lift something. I'm tired of the sympathy for these players. 100%, bro. Marco, numerous managers every year prove that a process isn't required to win a trophy. Why so much patience for our club to win? I don't understand. Great point. You look at last year, bro. Real Madrid, league. Did they win the league last year? I think they did. And they won the Champions League, right? And Hansi Flick comes into a team that are moving stadiums. They didn't have that much money to spend because obviously the stadium's being built. I know they got Dani Olmo, but in general, they didn't have loads of money to spend. And look, Champions League semi-final, Copa del Rey, they've won, and they're top of the league. Yeah, Real Madrid won it last year. So how come Hansi Flick didn't need 5 years to fix Barcelona? Because Real Madrid are the best team, right? They won the Champions League. They won the league. They've got Bellingham. They've signed Mbappe. They've got Vinny. They've got Rodrigo, Valverde. How come Hansi Flick in 1 year with like 1 or 2 signings is probably going to win the title? He's won the cup and he's in the Champions League semi-final. The same Xavi that had never really managed that won the league. You're spot on. So all this process and all this, you need years and phase 5. Listen, you need 2 or 3 top quality transfer windows. Clean out the rubbish, bring in some quality, a good style, a good system, and get to work. Think about how many transfer windows he must have had in 5.5 years to buy players. He signed 31 players. And we're still sitting here going, we need a striker, we need a left winger, we need an attacking midfielder, we need a backup goalkeeper, we need this, we need 6, 7 players. There's no excuse for it, bro. Forever a Gunner, we will end up with Sesko and Naipan. Well, Naipan apparently wants to go to Villa because he's going to probably get more first-team football. And Akinyemi said, the Cone Man won't sign an elite striker who sign more defenders and bring in another Francis Jeffers. Francis Jeffers to Ross. Man United signed Rooney. We signed Francis Jeffers. That recruitment thing's been happening for a while. Sparsh said all this comes down to the ownership. If someone who understands football ran the club, they won't sign subpar players and unknown managers. I think our hope is Berta. Berta needs to be the hero. He needs to come in and sit down and go, listen. When he has a meeting with the Kroenkes, he needs to go, listen, man. I think the manager might be part of the problem, Josh. And Josh will be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He say, listen, man, I'm telling you, I should do an Italian accent really for Berta, but I don't think I've got it. Hey, no, I'll leave it. I'm thinking about Sopranos and Goodfellas. I don't think I can nail that Italian watching. But he needs to say to him, listen, I've worked with Simeone for 10 years, bro. This ain't what a winning manager looks like. But listen, I don't want to say too much because if we get past PSG by some miracle, yeah, I know. I had an idea in my head of how the Italian was sounding. I really wanted to be Jimmy Conway in Goodfellas, but then I think I sounded more like Super Mario and Luigi. If they were from like Sheffield or something. So yeah, I think I had to stop at that one. It's a goal. I was honestly, it was Super Mario. It was Super Mario. So I thought I better leave it there. I'm usually quite confident with accents, but that one was a real mess. That one was a real mess. Earwoo said, irony of Madrid win is Rice initiative was the win. That's a great point. It feels like Declan Rice drove us to that win, not only with the free kicks, but that power, that drive in midfield. And then you took the car keys off him and left him in the 6 role with nowhere to go, with two absolute Marino and Odegaard in front of him who can't move. Marino rolls around the floor trying to get free kicks, and Odegaard just disappears like he's trick-or-treating. So yeah, it definitely didn't help us, that's for sure. Listen, what I want to ask people before I get out of it, do you have any hope for Wednesday night? Do you believe that Arsenal can beat PSG by 2 goals? Remember, a win by 1 goal would take us to extra time. But then extra time might not help us because they've got a better squad than us. So they're going to bring on Kang, they're going to bring on Barcola, they're going to bring on Ramos. They've got good squad depth, so extra time might actually favour them more than us. Does anyone believe we can go there and beat them? If I try and draw for the positives, and this is hopium, by the way, but they've never won the Champions League, so they're going to be nervous. They're going to be nervous as well. This means a lot to them. They have been beaten at home twice this season in the Champions League. Once by Atletico Madrid and once by Liverpool. So they have lost games against better teams at home. But each of those defeats, they lost 2-1 to Atletico, 1-0 to Liverpool. And obviously, Partey's back in the midfield. It gives us better balance. Rice goes box to box. Marino goes up front. We will look better. But are we good enough to beat them? Can we stop them from playing? My thought process is I'd be surprised if we kept a clean sheet. And then if they score, that means we got to score 2. Have we got 2 goals in us? We're going to need a 2-0 or a 3-1, really. Or maybe we do them 2-1 and then beat them in extra time. I don't know. Next week could be one of the best weeks you've ever had as an Arsenal fan. It could be one of the worst weeks. We could be in a Champions League final by Wednesday night. We could also be out of the Champions League and then have to do a guard of honour for Liverpool next weekend at Anfield, which is embarrassing. Cashley Cole said no hope if Odegaard is playing because it feels like you're carrying a player. Joba said things need to happen for PSG for me to have hope. Bench Odegaard, Rice and Saka need to be on every set piece. No Stoke football. Start off calm, then go for them and start Waneri. The key word there for me is calm. They've got to stay calm. Even if it was 0-0 with 70 minutes to go, you're still in the game. Nick a goal, beat them 1-0, go to extra time. They'll get nervous, I'm telling you. They've been involved in a lot of comebacks from the opposition. We have got to play almost a perfect game. Got to defend well. Hopefully Dembele is out. I don't wish injury on anyone, but he's tweaked his hammy. Hopefully he's not back for that game. That takes out their best goal threat. They'll probably play Barcola or somebody up front, or put Ramos up front. Not as good as Dembele. You've got to hope by some way we keep a clean sheet. Then you got to score against them. And Marino up front will give us better link-up play with the wingers, and it also gives us aerial threat. Because I don't think they're great in the air defensively, but we didn't have a threat in there to test them enough. So it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. But a lot of it's the manager. Do I trust the manager? Do I trust that manager to, if plan B is not working, if plan A is not working, to figure out plan B? You know, to figure out plan B. Is the issue. That's the issue. Fabrizio tweet. Oh my God. Oh no. Why do you guys do this to me? Fabrizio Bomber. Every time I go and check, I think, here we go, something good. I'm going to end the stream with this picture on the stream. Because this sums up the week as an Arsenal fan. I'm going to read out this super chat. Aaron said, no way we keep a clean sheet. We need 2 early goals and hang on for dear life. Otherwise, we're done. Once we're out, I'm switching off until August and focus on family time this summer. F this. I totally agree. Book your holidays. Enjoy yourself. Forever a gunner. Skelly in midfield. Tierney left back. That's the solution, but Arteta won't do it. Let's end with this. You wanted positivity? You're not getting it. Fabrizio Romano tweet. Mikel Arteta confirms Kai Havertz can return before the end of this season for Arsenal. If everything goes the way it's going at the moment, he will have a chance to play a few games before the end of the season. We need crates of red stripe for this, honestly. It's going to be a long summer. The next door neighbour must think I'm crazy. Why I'm always shouting for red stripe? I sound like an alcoholic. I don't even drink red stripe, but we're going to need crates of it for this. So basically, your plan is to get to the Champions League final and then start Havertz, right? That's your plan. That's your master plan, isn't it? Oh, do you know what? I'm the excitement. I can't contain it, people. I can't contain it. We might not win the Champions League. We might have to do a guard of honour for Liverpool at Anfield. Gyokeres might go to United, but the donkey from Shrek might play the last 3 or 4 games of the season. Can't wait, guys. Can't wait. Imagine if he scores the winner in the Champions League final. I'll get his name on all 3 Arsenal shirts next season. However, I don't think that's going to happen somehow. People, enjoy your Friday. Take care. I'll see you all over the weekend. The watch-alongs tomorrow. I'm going to have a couple pre-recorded videos dropping over the weekend as well. But yeah, Bournemouth against Arsenal tomorrow, 4:30. I'll be live. Hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow, people. Havertz is back. Just gets worse, don't it? Take care, everyone. Bless.